he says, I'm a halakha Jew, halakha is very important to me, I can't throw it out the window, and the other guy is saying, yeah, well, we can't have Israel run like it was in medieval Europe either. And,
It's not an easy question.
It seems the Rabbanut has some compassion, maybe things would work, escalate as much as they did,
Look,
It's an interesting program, and he was an interesting voice. He wore a black yarmulke. I know, where did he graduate from?
I think he's a YU Musmach.
I think
I think he's a YU Musmach, and I think there's certainly an issue in Israel, and I have to tell you that if I ever understood the wisdom of the founding fathers of America in separating between church and state, it's look what's going on in Israel. It's just I think it moves people further away from religion. And I think that's a problem. They move further away from religion.
Training more fields in the Knesset. That's not a good thing.
The whole thing is terrible. It is. Okay.
So if you said as rabbis left of center, what are we? The show.
I think the center now.
We're probably between center and him.
Center
and him.
What are you talking about? The mission of the shul or the constituency of the shul?
No, I'm talking about the constituency. Yes, constituency of the shul. I mean, I think that there are. I would put a place like the Young Israel of Woodmere. I would say that's center. That's center. So we're a little bit more tolerant than that. We're not as tolerant as Rabbi Wahlberg, for hashkafic reasons, I believe, but.
Well, we have a different population, but I will tell you, when you go to this history class that Evan Hoffman gives, when he gets our age, not younger,
Who gives it?
Evan Hoffman, he's from
Oh, he gives it at Young Israel of Woodmere.
Teach him how to Woodmere.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
He's great.
He's
Fantastic.
excellent. And he gets a showing. No young people.
No.
All people sort of like our age.
How many does he get?
50, 60.
How many? 50, 60?
Yes.
Really?
Not last week, but
We sometimes don't make arrangements at Tuesday night because of that.
Because
Wow.
he's so good.
He's really good. He's very
Right.
bright.
It's a slip from here to the
Fabulous,
south.
fabulous. And not only that, but they have a summer tour. Someone's in charge of it, I guess. There's a summer tour, and we took them to the Jewish Museum in Philadelphia last year. But throughout the bus ride, he gave a shiur in Jewish American Jewish history,
He's great.
Soloveitchik,
He's great.
like
He's
Nehru,
great.
And he's doing something again this year. But what I'm trying to say is it lends a certain cohesiveness to the group, to the shul, and have something like that. I was amazed at how many people.
Well, he taught here at one point, and he got,
Yeah, I used to go to his class.
Yeah.
But if there's a class, I go. I try to go.
The unfortunate. I mean, you're absolutely right. He's a great teacher, but it's hard, Listen, a place like Young Israel of Woodmere should be getting a couple hundred people to come to a class.
Right. I mean, it's a big island.
Right. Okay. So I would like to dedicate our shiur tonight for a refuah shlema for Richard's son. His Hebrew name is Yitzchak Yehonatan ben Devora. Should have a refuah shlema, and I hear we're on the road.
Well, I hope so.
We're on the road. So in Yirtzeh Hashem. Okay, we are on page 438. So, page 438, pasuk 27, in the middle of the page. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, after last week promising us that no one would miscarry, nor would anyone be barren. We tried to explain that last week. Kadosh Baruch Hu continues in verse 27 and says, Es emosi ashalach lefanecha. My ema, my fear, I will send before you. Right? My fear I will send before you. The English says, I shall send my fear before you. What does it mean, I will send my fear before you? That your enemies are going to be afraid of you, meaning afraid of me, even before we do battle with each other. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to give you, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the psychological advantage of your enemies being fearful of you even before the battle begins. Es emosi ashalach lefanecha, v'hamosi es kol ha'am, and I will confound or confuse the entirety of the people, asher tavo bahem, that you will come in them, v'nasati es kol oivecha elecha oref, and I will ensure that your enemies will show you their necks, the back of their necks. So what does that mean? That they're going to run away from you. So as part of this promise that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us, we are going to go into Eretz Yisrael and we are going to have a psychological advantage. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to aid us with psychological warfare, that there will be a dread that will grip our enemies. And when there's a dread that grips our enemies and we then have to go in and do battle with them, we're already in a better place because of the fact that they're so frightened of us. Fear is a potent weapon in warfare, in battle. It's always been that way. And therefore, Kadosh Baruch Hu promises us that this is what's going to happen. He's going to place his fear on our enemies. That's couched in the term, my fear will go before you. That's what it means, I will set my fear before you. What's interesting is, if you hold this, don't lose this page, 438, but jump back to Shiras Hayam in Parshas Beshalach, the song by the sea. Look on page 378. And look at what we have, 378, 379, beginning with verse 14. What do we say? Chil achaz yoshvei piloshes. That what happened? That terror gripped those who lived in Palashes, in the Plishtim. Fear gripped the Plishtim, we'll call it. The Plishtim, this is a prophecy, right? This is something that's going to happen. It's not something that happened already. There were the Plishtim and Bnei Yisrael. That's only in the days of the Shoftim, right? The days of Shimshon, the days of the Shoftim. Didn't happen yet, but this is part of the Nevuah, part of the prophecy that Bnei Yisrael are saying at Shiras Hayam. They were on the level of prophets. So they said, Chil achaz yoshvei peloshes, that dread will grip the inhabitants of Palashes, wherever. Oz nivhalu alufei Edom, the alufei, the leaders, the officers of Edom will be confused, right, confounded. Ele Moab yochazemo ra'ad, the strong people of Moab, the powerful of Moab, yochazemo ra'ad, trembling is going to grip them. This is all talking about this dread that our enemies are going to feel. Namogu kol yoshvei Canaan, the people of Canaan will melt away. Right? They'll melt away. They won't even stand up to do battle against us. They will melt away from this dread, from this fear. Now listen to this. Tipol aleihem e masa v'fachad. What do we say? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, tipol alehem, cause to fall upon them, a mosav afachad. Fear, right? Fear and dread. That's what we're asking Hashem to do. What does Hashem tell us He's going to do? In our pasuk on page 438, Kadosh Baruch Hu says that as a mosi ashalach lefanecha, that in recognition of that which you asked for at Kriyas Yamsuf, I am going to send my dread, my fear of me, dread of me, I will send that ahead. People will feel that before even the battle begins.
So isn't it strange that the Meraglim came back with such a negative report that they were chagavim, they were like nothing. In other words, it's almost as if they weren't on the scene when all this was promised.
I think it's, I think it's one thing to hear this. I think it's another thing to believe it and to project it, right? I think the Meraglim gravitated to the lowest common denominator, right? That they didn't have that emunah. That this is precisely the point. All of this becomes naught because of the Meraglim. This is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu says is going to happen, and it doesn't happen.
And it gets nullified.
It gets postponed until the days of Yehoshua. Okay, gets postponed. Okay, so an interesting interpretation by the listen to the Gemara. There's a Gemara Maseches Sota that says as follows. The Gemara says, in explaining Es Emosi Ashalach Lifanecha, my fear of me. That's what really Emosi is. Fear of me. Ashalach Lifanecha, I will send before you. Says the Gemara, Bisha'a Sha'abru Yisrael Es Hayarden, that when the Jewish people crossed the Jordan River, Lo hayasa kol birya yechola la'amod bifnehem. There was not a creation, a creature that could stand in their way. That was the awe, the aura, the fear, the trepidation of Bnei Yisrael coming in. Nobody could stand in their way. Listen to this. V'chol ha'omed bifnehem, and whoever stood in their way, whoever tried to stand in their way, miyad nitraz. What would immediately happen to that person? They would melt away. They would dissipate. They'd leave. Why? Shene'emar, as the pasuk says, es emosi ashalach lefanecha. Okay, listen to what the Torah Tamima says here. What does it mean, miyad nitraz? What does this mean? He says, miskalkel b'me'av. What's going to happen? That those enemies of the Jewish people, the ones who are going to stand to do battle against the Jewish people, they are going to be miskalkel b'me'av. What does it mean? What is me'av? Is their intestines, their stomach, right? Miskakel, it's not going to work properly, right? They're going to be afflicted with an illness of their system. It's not going to work. Vizeh, listen to this, says the Torah Tamima. How does he explain it? Vizeh mipnei shemiteva ha'adam. It's the Kadosh Baruch Hu created us in such a way, our nature. Lihiyos me'av miskalkalim machmas pachad ve'ema. That what happens? Our systems break down from pachad and ema, meaning from fear and dread. Our systems break down. Ukamosha kasuv basota, as it says in a different place in the Gemara Sota, le'inyan hayarei v'rach halevav shechozer mima'archei hamilchama. What is he quoting here? So when it comes time to go out to wage war, if it is a defensive war, if it is a milchemes mitzvah, so then everybody has to go. Doesn't matter, countries in danger, everybody has to go. If it's a milchemes rishus means it is a a war not of self-defense, a war not self-defense to preserve the Jewish people or preserve the land. It's a war to conquer more territory. It's a war to extend the reach of the government or the kingdom. Like David HaMelech, right? Those would be wars of Milchemes Rishus, right? And when it came to Milchemes Rishus, permission had to be asked from the Urim V'Tumim. You couldn't just say, you know what, I think I want to go conquer Syria. You had to have permission. It was Milchemes Rishus. When Milchemes Mitzvah, you're being attacked, you don't have to consult with anybody. Milchemes Mitzvah, you're being attacked, everybody, you pull them out of yeshiva, you pull them out of the kitchen, wherever it is, it doesn't matter, everybody's obligated to fight. When it comes to Milchemes Rishus, there are